My name is Merrill. I'm the principal here at Merrill High School. Introduce you to a couple of the guys. The gentleman in the white shirt and tie, that's Mr. Brad Potter. He's an associate principal. Mr. Brad Parker is the gentleman in the sweater. He's one of our 3 counselors, and he has all students' last names A through G. Our other 2 counselors are Mrs. Holt and Mrs. Libby. So your students will get to know them as well next year. The goal of tonight is really a couple things. One is to get you a little familiar with Merrill High School if this happens to be your first student coming here. But secondly, maybe more importantly, to share with you the information that we shared with your students recently about course selection, because when they get to high school, they get quite a few options and a much greater sense of freedom as far as choosing their path. And so we met with all of the students yesterday in here, or Tuesday, yesterday. And then today we started working with them at their schools. And so we want to make sure that you get the same message that we gave them, which is often not the case, or could sometimes not be the case with middle school age students or high school age students. So we want to run through all the information that we shared with them so that you can help them kind of start the navigation through high school and the course selection process. I will say that we shared with John here a second ago that when they were here yesterday, we were super impressed by how what a good group of students they were. We had 200 students in here. And I spoke to them without a microphone, which is, for 8th graders, unheard of. And so they stayed glued or gave me their attention and were just great. They were toured around the school to all the elective areas by some of our Crew students, and just had a really good day with them. So we hope that that's a sign of things to come, because they sure left a really good impression on us yesterday. I'm going to run through the PowerPoint slide that was the same exact information that they received today at PRMS and will receive upcoming at the parochial schools. And so this is kind of the same exact information that they saw earlier. That little blue bar at the top is a way for you to text us a question if you don't want to ask one out loud. So if you text a question to that, or go to that site and text a question, Mr. Potter will get it, and he will ask that on your behalf. Otherwise, at any time, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll pause and I'll answer your questions for you. We do kind of 2 orientation nights. One is today, and then the second one will be on the first day of school. So our first day of school here in Merrill High School is what we call Linker Day. And it's a day that's dedicated solely to transitioning freshmen and students into Merrill High School. The first day of school is just freshmen and link leaders. And so your son or daughter will get called by a link leader days before school starts. Link leader is an upperclassman student of ours, one of our student leaders. We'll be invited to school that day, and then we have all different transition activities just to get them familiar with the school. That night, on the first day of school, we will have another parent meeting that will cover other things that you should know about Merrill High School, because today's just about most about course selection. So I'm going to ask Mr. Potter to advance to the first slide, and some things that you should know about MHS. The first is, that's what our daily bell schedule looks like. We run an 8-period day, with the 3rd period being what we call flex period. I'll get to that in a second. Freshmen are encouraged strongly to take 6 classes when they sign up for courses. And so you can see it's really a 7-period day with a flex period. That will always give every student here a chance to have study time, which we call PLT, or personal learning time. Our freshmen have their PLT time in the library with Mrs. Cordova, and it's a time for them to do studying, to do reading, to work in groups, to do their band lessons. All kinds of things can take place in that PLT time. Guided study is a concept that we started here a couple years ago. That's really designed to encourage students to keep their grades up. And so students that have D's or F's on their progress reports, which is the midterm, or at any given quarter, are assigned to what's called guided study. Guided study is an environment probably very much like study hall was when you and I were in school. Rows of desks, it's quiet, no food, no drink, those kind of things. The goal is to stay focused on getting homework done. PLT time is a little more casual. Students can talk, students can collaborate, students can read, can listen to music in some spaces. And so all freshmen will have, well, all students will either have a PLT or guided study, and if they get their grades up from grading period to grading period, they can move guided study to PLT. So it's kind of like an earned privilege, if you will. And that's been a real good incentive for our students because the PLT spaces are considerably more comfortable and an incentive for students to get to those places. So that's worked. I didn't share this with your students yesterday because I didn't want to start out on a bummer note, but their fourth quarter grades as 8th graders will determine where they start, whether it's guided study or PLT. And that's being shared with them probably this week when the counselors go to school. And so it's important that they finish the fourth quarter with the grades that they want so they can get to the spaces that they want. Every day, that third period is what we call flex period. It's also called our advisory. And so from 9:30 to 10:10 every day, the students will report to their advisory, which is a cohort of about 16 students and one advisor, like a homeroom that meets every day. It's by grade, so they will have the same 16 students all the way through, and they'll have the same advisor all the way through. We do a lot of activities in that flex period. Mondays, we do academic and career planning, we do silent reading, we do all kinds of different activities as an advisory. And then the rest of the week, students can choose the activities that they want to do during that time, whether it's enrichments or interventions or those kind of things. The students have a lot of freedom to make those choices during that time. And I think when we get to the last slide, I'll show you what that looks like on the website. We'll go to the next. Thank you. Graduation requirements in Merrill High School, we changed them. We upped them 2 full credits about 2 years ago. So the freshman class, this class has a graduation requirement of 23.5 credits. That includes 4 English, 3 social studies, science, math, etc. The increase was from 21.5 to 23.5, and we put it all in the elective area. It was not main requirements, if you will. The reason we want to do that is we want to make sure that students could pursue things that were of interest to them, career-related things, college prep kind of things, whatever they happen to, whatever path they want to choose. And so that it'll be the third class going through with that new graduation requirement, and it's really been great for our students in terms of students choosing their electives. The next slide. Every freshman will take the following courses: E9, World History, a math class, a science class, and PE 101 for 1 semester. And so you can see there that represents really 4.5 classes, or 4 classes 1 semester, 5 classes the next. So that means a student can take some of those electives choices that are coming up. Now yesterday your students toured the building and stopped at every elective department that we have, whether it was choir, band, art, tech ed, business ed, foreign language, and met with people from all those departments to learn about those classes. So hopefully they came home yesterday with some ideas or some thoughts or some questions about things that are of interest to them, and maybe we're sharing with you some cool and exciting things that are available to them. We'll get to some of those specifics in a few minutes, but next slide. So here are the elective options. I'm not going to play those 2 videos. Your students saw those yesterday because they deal with computer science. But again, we have elective options for freshmen in all kinds of departments. There is certainly something here for everybody based on their interests. And I've always kind of thought, in Merrill we're kind of lucky because we're a school of 800. And there's a fair amount of research that says a really good high school size or ideal high school size is somewhere between 600 and 900 because you have an opportunity to still offer a comprehensive program because you're big enough, but you're small enough to still get to know kids and kids get to know each other. And so we're pretty fortunate to have a really pretty robust curriculum and some great offerings for our students that really has something for everybody. And we just added, I'm guessing 7 or 8 new classes for next year, many of which in their elective areas, many of which have college credits tied directly to them, and so we're excited for those changes as well. That will be a real help for your students. So students will have a chance to choose elective courses from those areas. Next slide, Mr. Potter. And so when they get to high school now, I think in middle school you have some choices, pretty minor choices, I think, as far as electives are concerned. But the goal of high school now is to start matching your elective areas with your interests, your career interests, your post-secondary or post-high school plans, so that you are getting exposed to those things and taking advantage of those opportunities. I mentioned that every Monday we have an advisory, and a lot of those advisory times are dedicated to academic and career planning. So we do a lot of things to help students identify potential career paths so that they're starting to make the choices of the courses that can help them meet those goals of life after high school. And so we want people to be aware of our courses and our electives. We want them to make good choices. And we also wanted them to sign up for the courses that they fully intend to take next year. We have a pretty tight drop-out policy come fall. And the reason we do that is because we don't want, so if we have a big run on tech ed courses, for example, we got some really new, exciting things going on in tech ed that we're very, very excited for our students. And so if we have all kinds of new people who want to sign up for a tech ed electives, likely we'll have to go out and hire a tech ed teacher. So I have that staff member. I can't have people then come in August and say, I don't want to take that, I want to take foods, as an example. And so we ask students and require students to make really good choices because we expect them to take the classes that they sign up for. And so have that discussion with your son or daughter about making those choices. Next slide. Our course description book, if you will, is online, and I'll show you where to find that in a second. It has all of our courses, all of our graduation requirements, shows you which courses are AP or advanced placement, which courses are what we call dual credit, which means you get college credit for just taking them here. We have a lot of classes that give you college credit in MTC. We have College English 101, College English 102 here, which is UW credit that we offer in-house. So there's all that information you can find there. You can find the course description book, which I'll show you again in a second, by going to Merrill High School, the academics, and finding the course description site there. Next slide. Two things that I want to share with you that are going to be kind of likely new to many of you. So a couple years ago, we wanted to provide some opportunities for our students to accelerate so that they could get to advanced classes sooner and to take the classes that they want sooner. And so we started out with a concept called the Science Academy, and your group represents the third year of the Science Academy. Most students at Merrill High School will start out with a freshman science class called Physical Science, and that will represent try 80% of our freshmen will take that class. The Science Academy notion means that students can start their high school career by skipping physical science and going right to biology, which is traditionally a sophomore level course, with the understanding that they will commit and stay with science all the way through. So it's a 4-year plan that ends up in some of those advanced placement classes, and phys and those kind of things. The goal was, again, to let kids accelerate that were interested in those kind of fields, and to meet all the state and national standards within that plan. The Science Academy is an application process, and so your son or daughter will have gotten it today or will be getting it shortly. The Science Academy application, every incoming freshman got one. And it asks students to identify, yes, I'm interested in doing this, yes, I'm interested in science as a career someday, whether it's health fields or other things. And then we get into things like, how are your science grades? How are your algebra grades? How are your math test scores? And if a student, and then there's a little essay. And so students then apply to be placed in the Science Academy. I think every student is currently signing up for physical science. Is that correct? And then we will move them. So if your son or daughter brings home a Science Academy application and says, I want to get into the health field someday, or I want to be a veterinarian, or a biologist, or whatever it happens to be, talk to them to do that and encourage them to apply. The middle school teachers, their current teachers, will have a significant voice in that process. And like I said, this is our second year doing it. We usually run maybe a section or two. Science Academy Honors Biology for freshmen. And our placements have been very, very valid. The students that have applied, that have been selected, have been successful and are moving through this very effectively. Now, if your son or daughter is not interested in the Science Academy and wants to start out with freshman physical science, which again is 80% of our freshmen do that, that's not to say that they can't still end up at all those places. What it does is it takes the need to double up in some subjects, junior or senior year, out of the equation. That's why I'm doing that. So if I started in physical science as a freshman, I would take biology as a sophomore, and this is what most of our students do. Then you get into the chemistry or the honors chemistry, and then you get into the electives and you follow that path. So again, your $100, certainly if they're at PRMS, have this application already. And so have that discussion with them when they bring that home there to return that to their science teacher, their current science teacher. Next slide. This is kind of new. This not kind of new. This is new for us this year. So we're doing a similar model now with English. And the reason we're doing this is because we wanted to give kids a chance to accelerate through English, because our high-end English courses have the potential of having 3 years worth of very high-end English packed into 2 years. And so the honors track for English, which follows a very similar process to the Science Academy, means that a student has expressed interest or aptitude in English and wants to accelerate in English. And so honors English students will take an honors English 9 path, an honors English 10 path, and then they'll take the AP track, AP Lit, AP Lang. Senior year, they should be taking college English 101 and 102 here. Okay, so it's a way to accelerate, and most importantly, it's a way to really make sure that the students that want to aspire to take their senior year with college English 101 and 102 to be prepared for that, because they'll have that pace and that rigor all the way through. Similar process, similar application. Students will get that information as well. I think the PRMS kids already have that as well. Again, similar to Science Academy though, if a student wants to take regular English 9, which I anticipate to be 80% of our students, that's not to say that they can't end up still in English 101 and 102. They certainly can. So they'll take E9, E10, their sophomore year they would take AP Lit and or AP Lang. Their senior year they would take AP Lit or AP Lang or 101 and 102. So it's just a way to accelerate through for those students that are interested in that. So the students at the middle school received all their information, their packets today. That information is back due to their science teacher by January 11th.
And the dates are wrong.
Oh.
So Monday.
Monday, okay. Our counselors will be going back there when?
Wednesday.
That's okay. And then away we go. So we'll start slotting students in. The teachers will evaluate the honors applications and the Science Academy applications, and we'll start building the students' schedules. They will get a confirmation of the classes that they signed up for, and so you will know and see what they signed up for before we start building schedules. I want to take you to the MHS website, and you click that link there, Mr. Potter, and kind of show you where you can find much of this information yourself. So if you go to the MAPS webpage, you go to the high school, if you go to academics, and I want to start with, let's go to flex period down there, Mr. Potter. I mentioned period 3 here every day is what we call flex period. And so Mondays, they'll be with their advisor, doing academic and career planning, silent reading, different activities. This page will show you how flex period works. On Mondays, I'll back this up. On a Friday, by noon, our teachers will build their flex period schedules for the following week. And so every teacher, for a Tuesday through Friday for the week that's coming up, has to have 4 activities built in there, one of which has to be an intervention period, one of which has to be an enrichment activity. The other things could be study time, it could be another intervention, it could be another enrichment, those kind of things, but you got to have at least one of each. You as a parent then, starting at noon on Friday, or any time for that matter, can click the button that says this week's offerings, go ahead and click it, and it'll pull up a program that the students will see called Flexi Schedule. This shows, if Mr. Potter were to scroll down, all of the things that students can choose at Merrill High School during the flex period. This happens to be live this week. And so we don't have Monday stuff on there because of the snow day, and so we had to kind of shorten it up. But all the blues represent club activities, all the greens are enrichment activities, all the reds are interventions, the oranges are study time. And so students are free to make those choices throughout or how they're going to spend that individual time during a week. We went to a model like this really as a way to address interventions was the primary goal. So what you can't see here is all those reds represent a time where a teacher can request your son or daughter. And so they will do that in advance of the students signing up. So if I'm a math teacher and your son or daughter is struggling with me, I will go in advance of this and pick your student to come and see me during that time for math help. And so when a student goes to sign up for their sections, Tuesday may already be full with math intervention with whatever math teacher they have. If students are doing fine academically and they don't need that help, then they can go pick a green or even a red or an orange or whatever they happen to want. But they will pick those activities each week on a Monday. And it's interesting because it's first come, first served. And so if you happen to take some time over the weekend and look at this and develop a plan, it's much easier for you to make good choices because they fill fast. If you look at all those little numbers, like the last one with Brandon, were 25, room 103, 103 is a PLT space. That's the capacity. So when that's full, that's not an option for students anymore. So students that know what they're looking to choose can go and pick those. And these things, we can check the enrollments as they're filling up, and it's like maybe a piranha feed or something. They go that fast. Once we hit the switch, you can see the numbers changing. So I share this with you so you can kind of see what kind of options are out there for students, and this changes every week. But as you can see, there's 200 plus choices there for them to make during the week during flex period. And you can also encourage them. So if they're all done with their homework and they want to get connected with different people, they can go to Mr. Schultz's math league meeting on Thursday. Or they could go try yoga in the restroom room with Mrs. Nelson as an example. But certainly all the red times over the teachers are available to help students with homework. Oranges are oranges are studying time. Okay, let's go back up to our page there, Mr. Potter. And then if you, if we go to that course description book, I just want to show you where that is so you can see that, so you can have some conversations with your sons or daughters about this. Our course description book is laid out really super user-friendly and has all of our new courses that you can see there, and they're laid out by departments. I'll just give Mr. Potter a second there.
Hey, Shannon,
Yes.
you were talking about enrichment activities. What does that mean?
Yeah, so the enrichment activities can really be just about anything. So an enrichment activity can be something that's related to the teacher's content, or can just be something that of interest to students. And so we've run everything from things in our new fab lab that the teachers are doing as far as like, hey, come and work on the design process or build your own whatever. We've done things in foods. There's practical life things like how to change a tire, how to sew on a button, those kind of little seminars that would just appear there once throughout the year. And so it really runs the gamut. It's game playing. It's, what are some of the other things that you guys do? Latin, we've had. So the purpose of the enrichment is to make school kind of fun. I mean, if a student's not hard requested by a teacher, or make school fun, make connections to staff, make connections to students, and try to build some memories. Yeah. If you go to the academics section there, Mr. Potter, and over to the far left, is course descriptions. That is where you find our course description book. We call it a book because it used to be a book and now it's a website. And so everything that you need to know about choosing courses is there, and it will be there every time for the next 4 years that your student has to make choices. So if you scroll to the top, as an example, if you click on new courses, it'll pull up all the new courses that we're having that are new to Merrill High School next year. AP US History with a description, who can take it, the computer science ones, all the way down. If you go over to electives as an example, at the top, it'll pull up by departments. You can see the tab up there at the top is the file right there. Yeah. Hold on the electives. So if your son or daughter came home talking about something in tech ed, and if you went to the tech ed, you can see all the tech ed classes that are available to our students, and it's quite a nice array. And so it has a description again, who you take it, what the credits are, what the prerequisites are. And if you were to scroll down further, you'll start seeing little NTC logos come up because those are classes that earn them college credit at NTC, and you'll find those in math and social studies and tech ed and foods and consumer ed and all those things. So all those courses, that's a great way for you to sit down and have a discussion with your son or daughter about what courses that they want to choose. If they go over to the far right about career clusters, there's some information there about all the different things that a student can pursue within all these different clusters, and had some information about career readiness and coursework in there. So we try to make this kind of like a one-stop shop for all things related to course selection. And then if you can back go to that, Mr. Potter, we'll go back to that. Just back to the about page to the academic page. Maybe one more. Actually, there we go. So the other thing that you can look at here is if you go to if you go back to the academics choices, if we just pause there, there's information on our study spaces and the whole guided study PLT concept. We talk about personalized learning. There's academic career planning, including a calendar of events so you can see what students are up to at any given time. And everything you need to know about Merrill High School is right there for you. And so with that, I think I'll open it up for questions. Do we have any text questions then? Anybody have any old-fashioned raise the hand questions? So your son or daughter should have this information with them. They got this today and yesterday, and they will be making their career or their course selections for next year over the next couple of days. So help them make those choices and have those discussions with them so that they can match their aspirations for the courses.
Yeah, the part of
Yeah, so the question was, prior to them actually starting here, will they get a little bit more in-depth tour than what they had yesterday? And the answer is yes. So yesterday was about getting them into academic elective departments so they get exposed to the courses. The first day of school at Merrill High School is just freshmen, and the whole day is dedicated to their transition. And so they will have tours, they will get to their lockers, they'll see their schedules, we'll do a mini walkthrough of their first day schedule. The goal is that by the time they leave here at the end of that first day, they'll be a little overwhelmed and tired because we're throwing all that on them at the first day, but they'll be much more prepared for the second day. The second day, we started with a big assembly, and then throughout that next day and subsequent days, our link leaders are all over the building, and they have these different shirts for different years, but they'll have a very bright colored shirt on, super easy to spot. And so if someone gets lost, they'll say, "Can you tell me where Route 241 is?" And we'll say, "Yeah, I'll walk you there." And so our goal is to make it super easy for students to make that transition as soon as possible. It's not like the old days where they give you your schedule and your locker count and kind of send you out to the world seems to be. So what is this now, Mr. Connor?
This is what's going on with digital.
Oh, okay. But that's a very good question. Other questions? How many people would be interested in a tour of Merrill High School right now? I've got two students that are eager to walk you around. You would be, sir? All right. So what they will do is they'll walk you through the different places. We're very lucky here at Merrill High School. As you walk around, you'll see this for yourself. The building is like two parts. How many people went to Merrill High School? Here. Okay. How many people went to this building, Merrill High School? Okay. So the main part of the building was the old junior high school back in this, built in the 60s. And in 97, they added on about 300%. So they did a significant add-on when they flipped the high school and middle school. And when you walk around, our custodians take a great deal of pride in the appearance of the building. And many of our places look brand new. And we get that comment from a lot of people that visit our school. And our students respect that. And so our students take care of the place. We don't have big vandalism issues here or that kind of stuff because the place always looks nice and cared for. And so as you walk around, and our students will take you to the pods and the LGI and all this kind of stuff that will make more sense to your students next year than you now. But they'll walk you around all the place and just kind of enjoy the layout of it and see how the flow is. And I will tell you that you have a 5-minute passing time, and you can get to anyone in this building from FIAD, which is right over here, to World Languages, which is on the second floor, as far from here as you get, in 5 minutes easily. Assuming you don't stop and talk to your girlfriend for 4 of those minutes in your locker, you certainly can do that. So that's the first question that freshmen ask on Linker Day. We won't be able to make it. They all do. Well, plenty of time to spare. So my 2 tour guides are Chloe and Nick. Mr. Potter has a comment.
Do you want to mention student fourth quarter awards will matter also for
Yeah, Mr. Potter brings up a fair point. So I mentioned earlier how student 8th grade, 4th quarter grades matter when they get here as far as where they'll be spending their study time. Also new this year is we started attendance rewards. And so if you have what we call great attendance stickers, and the threshold's not all that high, it's like 5 absences in a quarter or semester. So your students' 8th grade attendance will matter too. So when they show up and they have good 8th grade attendance for their 4th quarter, they will get a great attendance sticker. That will get them into football games and basketball games for free, gives them some privileges within our own building. It's kind of a nice reward. And so encourage your son or daughter, if they're interested in those things, to earn those stickers, so when they show up on their first day, we give them that great attendance sticker on their ID, and then right away they can start getting into events and stuff for free. That's quarterly. Other questions or comments? Yes?
I just have one. So if they're supposed to take 6 credits essentially per year, right?
Yes.
So if they're taking, say they're taking a language, they've got 4.5 core credits, they've got 1 credit for the whole year for language. So they're essentially just taking 1 elective, half credit for one semester each.
Yeah, as freshmen, many of our students, because it's really an 8-period day with that flex period. And so many of our students, we don't encourage freshmen to necessarily do this, but many of our students will take 7 classes.
Okay, so it's fresh. We're just supposed to start with 6 and be done with that for the first year.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. That's a good question. And the world language, by the way, is an elective.
Okay.
Other things? How about if we have Nick and Chloe, we'll have them, Nick here, Chloe there. If you're interested in going on the tour, find one of our tour guides and they'll walk you around. We'll come back here when it's done. If anybody has any questions for me, I'll stick around for a little while and answer those. And if not, thank you for coming. Enjoy your tour and enjoy your evening. Thank you.